Hi, I'm Jessica, and welcome back to my channel, Hero Born Stitches. This is a channel where we talk mostly about cross stitch, but other crafts might slip in there from time to time. I am also an avid knitter. I crochet sometimes. I also quilt pretty frequently. So I can't promise it'll only be cross stitch, but I'm going to try to stick to that as much as possible. So for any of you who have just found me, welcome. I'm really glad you found me. Please consider hitting like and subscribing. I always like to get in touch with people, hear from people who are watching. So please leave a comment too. For those of you who are coming back, welcome back. Again, I need to say thank you for the amazing welcome I have had. We are such an amazing community here on FlossTube with all of the stitchers and all of the love that's going around. It's really hard to put into words. So I really greatly appreciate everything and everybody. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Life update. So it has been about a week since I filmed last time. Classes did start last week for me. And I am just exhausted, absolutely exhausted. Every fall, I forget how this feels. And maybe I'm just so used to my summer routine or maybe lack of routine. And Monday, I actually teach 4 classes. I stand up in front of people 4 different times, and I don't get done until late. So after that happened on Monday, Tuesday, I was done for. And I felt like I was trying to catch up all week long. I did end up not going into work on Thursday. I don't have any office hours or classes on Thursday. I usually like to try to go in to work on other parts of my job on Thursday, but I just needed some time at home. And that was just what the doctors ordered, just what the doctor ordered. It was life affirming, being able to stay home and rest. And I think I just stitched all day long. Another little hiccup that happened this week. I had bought a new faucet for the kitchen sink. I want to say 3 or so months ago. And as I've shared before, we have an older home that we picked up. There's a lot of deferred maintenance. We are a little bit over a year in this house. And so we're slowly going through and taking care of things that needed to be taken care of. And the faucet needed to be changed. So I found a faucet, brought it home. My husband had not put it in because he was busy doing other things. Well, he decided on Tuesday that today was the day to put the faucet in. So my husband's not a plumber. He's just retired and likes to stay busy. So by the time I came home Tuesday, and I want to say, I'm not exactly sure when I was home. I think I might have been home by 2:30 or 3. By the time I was home, the water had been shut off because not only did he have to change the faucet, but decided that the shutoff valves needed changed under the sink. And like I said, not a plumber. And so the water had been shut off, and it was shut off since 1 in the afternoon. And he told me it was shut off and that it should be back together, really pretty quickly. Yeah. I want to say around 7 o'clock, he asked me to come watch when he turned the water back on to see if anything was coming out. Yeah, there were like big fountains of water everywhere. So yeah, that didn't work. Around 9:30, he asked me to come look again. I did. Still big fountains of water coming off everywhere. I was pretty sure at that point that we would not have water the next morning. And I was less than thrilled. Now, we do have 2 water wells on the property, which I was very thankful for because we were able to at least fill up some big jugs so we could flush the toilets. Very important thing to be able to do. But we couldn't take showers in the morning. And my son is 20 and he had to go to class. He needs to shower. He's 20. He needs to shower. So I was not thrilled when I woke up in the morning, and I wasn't surprised, but I was not thrilled. And my husband wakes up in the morning just talking. And the what I say frequently is too many words, just too many words right now. So he woke up and he started talking. I think I gave him the death glare and said, I will have water by the time I get home today. And I should be home by around 1 o'clock. I will have water. I did not have water when I got home, but I did have water shortly thereafter. But long and short of it, and I'm making this into a really long story. Lord knows I'm good at long rambling stories. But long and short of it is that I think we spent more money on things for him to try to fix things than it would have just to have a plumber come and take care of it. And of course, in the process, he had to switch the garbage disposal from one side to the other side because he thought it made more sense on the other side. So it wasn't the dishwasher this week, it was the faucet. But now that is all taken care of. So I have no idea what the next week will bring as far as that goes. Let's see, anything else? I'm not really sure there was a whole lot else. I do want to shout out the Stitching Owl. She gave me a beautiful, very nice shout out on her most recent FlossTube. And I will link her below. If you do not watch her, please go check her out. There is just something about her that is so calming and centering. And she has the most amazing projects that are going on. Her temperature stitching is out of this world. And it's not temperature stitching like I do temperature stitching. It's different. But the project she's working on is phenomenal. And I need to go check that designer out because that is something that I might be very interested in doing in the future. As I mentioned in the last video, there seems to be an owl theme going on in my life, and that has really continued between the shout out from the Stitching Owl, my round robin group, the Night Owls, and we have been chatting it up. The last piece in the Spooky Frights stitch along. And I actually had a viewer reach out to me. I had not even put this together. If you go back a couple of videos, I went through all these things I have kitted up. And one of these things I have kitted up is this little learn how to cross stitch kit that I said I was probably going to donate or something because I never saw myself doing it. It's an owl. And I had not processed that. So I think I might do it. And she suggested that I do it and maybe put it on a button and put it on a stitching bag. And I love that idea. So I do. I think I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to stitch up that owl real quick and do something with it. So that should be fun. I had another viewer a couple videos ago comment on my world's oldest whip and suggested that maybe it was that one or maybe another one. I don't know. Suggested that I put it on a project bag. And that's a really good idea too. Maybe it's that home sweet home one too. I'm just not really sure. But I think that is a great idea to do with some of those things. Now, I don't know how to make project bags. I don't need any more hobbies, but I am highly tempted to figure out how to do that. So those things have really been on my radar. The other thing that I wanted to make sure I addressed was I had a question about my name, Hero Born Stitches. Where did that come from? Well, that is a play on my last name. I'm not saying like I'm a superhero or anything like that. I'm sorry. I've got like hair in my mouth or something, and it's just absolutely driving me nuts. So yeah, I'm not saying I'm a superhero, nothing like that. I'm not saying I'm born of superheroes. It's a play on my last name. I have a hyphenated last name because I was married and then divorced and remarried. And Hieronymus is my first married name and is the first part of my last name. When I got divorced, I did not drop that name because it's the name that my boys carry. And also because it is the name that like all of my degrees and everything are in, and I'm a grown-up person. And it's really kind of hard to change your name at that point. And plus, let's face it, it's a great name. It is just a great name. So I had held on to that after I got divorced. And when I got remarried, my husband really wanted me to take his last name. And I explained to him kind of the issues with that. And so we kind of compromised and decided to hyphenate. So my last name is Hieronymus Claiborne. And so I took the H-E-R-O, the first four letters of my first name, and that B-O-R-N, last four letters of my last name, and kind of put them together. And that's where Hero Born Stitches comes from. It's a ridiculously long name. It doesn't fit on anything. Yeah, but that's what it is. That's what it is. And that's where the name came from. So in this video, I think we have I always say it's not going to be long. Let's face it, it will be long because I can't make a short video, I guess. So I wanted to provide you guys with some updates on my whips and my temperature stitching. I do have a finish. I do have a new start. I also have a little bit of haul, maybe. I don't know whether you can count it as haul, that I have a little bit of that, something to show you guys there. And then really, I just kind of want to talk about plans, what's coming up over the next week, what's really kind of coming up over the next few weeks. So you guys will kind of know what direction I'm going in. Okay, so with that, let's get started with the whips. Before I start going through my temperature stitching pieces, I want to really quickly explain what I do for temperature stitching. So what I have done is I have taken 10 projects of mine and I have assigned them to the numerals 0 through 9. And then what I do is I look at the projected high temperature every morning on my iPhone, and whatever that is, whatever the ones digit is in there, I take that and do 100 stitches, at least 100 stitches on the project that corresponds with that digit. I will do that until the project reaches at least 1,000 stitches. I might leave it in a little bit longer if I need to, or, but I'm trying to, the goal is really to get a lot of whips that haven't been touched in a while touched. So I am planning to rotate them out after they have been called 10 times or have had at least 1,000 stitches put into them. So with that, let's start looking at those projects. This week, we had a ton of different options for temperature stitching called. We actually had seven different projects called. So we had a really good variety. I like it when that happens, but then I kind of don't like it when that happens because it feels like I'm changing projects all the time. But let's get through them anyway. So the first one that I want to talk about is by this Prairie Schooler. It is H of their alphabet series. Is on a chart that says GHI in it. And this is what it will look like when it is done. I hope I fixed this picture. I noticed last time that this picture was really blurry. And so it is my intention to fix it before I am done editing this video. So this is done on 14 count Aida with just the called for DMC. It is the project that I started quite some time ago when I was trying to teach my daughter how to cross stitch. This is what it looked like the last time you saw it. And I was able to make some good progress on it, even though it was only called once. It is just working on the dark brown, just 3371. And I just had a couple little really sad lines when I started this in temperature stitching. And so I'm delighted with the progress that has been made on this. I think there's only 2 more times that it has in temperature stitching before it gets pulled out or gets rotated out, but I think I have another plan for it because I really do want to continue to make progress on this. I've yet to decide whether I'm going to do the other letters on the chart. That's kind of a slippery slope for me to go down just with my whole personality. So I've yet to decide that. But this is Prairie Schooler GHI on 14 count white Aida with just called for DMC. The next temperature stitching that I need to talk about is Little House Needleworks. This is Log Cabin Christmas. It is part of a stitch along that I was doing, at least a year or 2 ago. I don't even remember. This is an artist rendering of all of the pieces of it together. I could not find a picture of all of the pieces of it together. So this one doesn't get called for temperature stitching very often. And I'm always super happy when it is called because I get to work on it. This is where it was the last time you saw it. And as it was only called once, I didn't make a ton of progress, but enough to make me happy. Just I filled in some details on the fox, filled in some more on the snow. I don't know whether you can really see that super well, and got a good part of the log cabin done. This is done on 32 count linen of some kind. It feels like Witchell. I do not know what color. I did not record that, and I do not have the package anymore. I'm with just called for Classic Color Works. I think there's just Classic Color Works. I don't think there's any DMC in here. Again, when I started temperature stitching, there was just part of the border of that third little vignette done. So there's some really good progress that has been made. Now, this is such a hard project to count 100 stitches on because there aren't really any big blocks, and it's not DMC. So I don't know really how many stitches I get out of each length of floss. And even if I did, I don't ever use a full length of floss because everything is just small bunches, but I still enjoy stitching on it every time it comes up. Yeah, so I know if I didn't say this, I did some of the fox. Yeah, I think I said that. So yeah, that's the second piece that came up this week. The third piece that came up this week is by Hands On Design. It's Seasons 2, a celebration. I did this all, doing this all in one piece instead of splitting it up into separate little pieces. This is where it was the last time you saw it. And it was like everything else, just called one day. So I was able to make a little bit of progress on it. Working on October, I did more than 100 stitches on this. All of these projects are just paper projects, so I do not have good stitch counts on them. And I don't love sitting there counting stitches. But I know that this was a little bit more, maybe significantly more than 100 stitches, because I really wanted to get that white pumpkin done. So this is on 28 count Lugana, I believe, by Fiber on a Whim in the color Cypress. And I am just using Called for Classic Color Works, and the border that I put in is just in black coffee. So when I started temperature stitching, I don't think I had started October at all. So everything you see on there is temperature stitching. And this one hasn't been called a ton either. So you will see this for a while yet in temperature stitching. I am hopeful to get October done soon and move on to November, and maybe even kind of stay ahead a little bit of the months so I can finally get this project done. The next piece I want to talk about are those kitten ornaments. There is, I think there's 10 of them all together. This is the one that I am working on. This is my former bathroom project. This is where it was last time you saw it. This is just done on kind of a white Aida with the floss that came in the kit. But I have had to substitute in some DMCs because I have lost some of the floss in the kit because it's about 30 years old, 30 years since I started it. And I put 100 stitches into this. Now you will probably not be able to see what I did at all on there, because what I did, other than just a couple little pieces of peach, is that I started filling in the white. It is getting really, really close to the point where I need to start back stitching. And the biggest piece I had left to do was the white. So I really was just working on the white so I can finish off the other little bit of color that is left and then do the back stitching on this piece, and then it will be done. If you'll remember, there was another kitten that was about at this point when I started, and I elected to start this kitten from scratch instead of finishing the other one. So I think once I get to the back stitch point on this, I will pull out the other kitten as well, probably do the back stitching on both of those so I can get both of those done. I did look at the kit, and I am done with all of the yellow kittens. So the fact that I am essentially out of all the yellow floss is not a big deal. There are still a couple little pieces of gold that I'm going to have to substitute in, but that's easily enough done. So this is by Something Special. I believe that's what it is. And yeah, I think I have, I don't know, I'd have to look to see how many I have done. I think I have maybe 2 or 3 after this one before all of these little kitten ornaments are finished. The next piece of temperature stitching that I'd like to talk about is "'Tis the Season." It is a Charles Wysocki painting that has been turned into cross stitch. It is a dimensions kit. It is just done on an off-white 14 count Aida with the flosses that were in the kit. And this is where it was the last time you saw it. Like everything this week, it was only called once. So I was able to make some progress on it, not a ton. So what I did is I filled in some of that kind of dark brown gold around in the barn, around the sign there. And that was 100 stitches. It doesn't look like 100 stitches. Sometimes, do you guys have this issue? Sometimes 100 stitches looks like a lot. And then sometimes 100 stitches doesn't look like anything. But this had the saddest little start when I pulled it out for temperature stitching. It has only been called a handful of times. So it will be hanging around for quite a while, but I am loving seeing progress on this. I love Charles Wysocki's Christmas scenes, their holiday scenes. It just reminds me of growing up because we always had a Charles Wysocki puzzle on the table all through the Christmas season. So I'll be really happy when this is done and I can frame it and put it on the wall. The next piece that I want to talk about is Spooky and Sweet. It is by the Fat Quarter Shop. It is one of their free stitch alongs that they do. They do one for the Christmas season and one for kind of Halloween, autumn every single year. This one, I believe, was from last year. The new one starts very soon for this year. This is where it was the last time you saw it. And I was able to get some of that cloak done, of that vampire, some of the darker purple cloak done. And I'm not sure this has a ton of time left for temperature stitching, but it will get finished off one way or the other. Before even if it gets to its 1,000 stitches, I will still make sure I finish this off before I switch it out because it will be so close to being done by then, even if it's not done. So yeah, it's getting very close to done and I will be super happy to have that one done. So this is 28 count even weave by Fiber Flare charcoal dyed effect with just the called for classic color works. And the final piece of temperature stitching I have to talk about this week is Princess and the Pea by Hickory Hollow. This is my second oldest whip. If you watched my last video, you know that I was able to finish the window. This is where it was last time you saw it. I was able to finish the window and the moon, and it only had one time left in temperature stitching before it got rotated out. So when it got called, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. Did I want to do the back stitching around the princess? Because she does look a little bit creepy without that on, and I don't think I ever really did her crown because I think that's the same color that the back stitching is around there. So I really considered doing that when she was called, but I just didn't feel like back stitching. And I know I had kind of planned to go up and work on the letters. So that is what I did. I just moved up and I started the letters right above the window. I don't know about you guys, but I just love stitching letters. I just think it goes so quick and there's something really satisfying about it. This is getting rotated out of temperature stitching after this week, but I do have some plans for it, which I'll get to in just a minute. It won't be the last time you see it, I promise. So I had 2 projects that I pulled out of temperature stitching rotation this week. One of them was the Quilted Witch, which I talked to you guys about last week, Lori Holt's Quilted Witch. That had received its 10 times, actually several weeks ago. And I just really wasn't sure what I was doing with it at that point. I did decide to rotate it out. I do have other plans for it. I didn't get the skirt done, which I really hoped to do. But like I said, I'm kind of moving it into another area of my stitching with a stitching game. So that allowed me to put something else into temperature stitching. And like I said before, the Princess and the Pea, I am done with that for temperature stitching also. So I had 2 open spots in temperature stitching in which I could switch other projects in. So the first project I decided to switch in is Nature's Window. I do not remember who this is by. It is a kit. I don't know. I said it in the last video. Maybe I will like put it down below here. Nature's Window. This is where it was last time you saw it. This is the one that I found in my, one of the ones I found in my needlework casket. And there was a fair amount of work done on it. And I really didn't even think I had this anymore. And I was really happy when I found it. So the opportunity to switch it into temperature stitching and get some progress going really excites me. So that came into temperature stitching rotation, and I hope it will be called soon. And the other piece that I decided to switch into temperature stitching is We 3 Santa's Bell Pull. This is another one that I found in my casket last week, and I do not have a good picture of it, so I'm sorry. I do not have anything except the fabric, what I did, and the floss. And that is a better picture. That's where it was last time you saw it, and kind of a better picture of how cute these little Santas are. So I do not have any of the bells or any of the charms that go with it, but I will substitute something in. This is one of those pieces of low-hanging fruit. It is not going to take me 1,000 stitches to get this done. There's only 2 Santas left and just a couple of the bands of the little trees and the little snowflakes. So I think this will go really quick. I think it is absolutely adorable. I'm excited to get it finished so I can use it this year for holiday decorations and just kind of make a little dent in my whips. So those are rotating into temperature stitching. Lori Holt's Quilted Witch and the Princess and the Pea are rotating out of temperature stitching. So we hopefully will see some new things next week. Now that we're done with temperature stitching, I want to get into my other whips that I have worked on this week. The first one is the Spooky Frights Stitch Along, which I finished up. The last clue dropped on Monday of last week, and I was able to get it stitched up and finished. This is where it was last time you saw it. I was all caught up except for that last clue. And indeed, that last clue was an owl, as I anticipated it being. So there is a really cute little owl there finishing off this piece. I'm really trying to be better about fully finishing things. That is a goal of mine. So this might get kind of high on the list rather than sticking it where finished objects go to die. So a cute little owl underneath the witch hat, just absolutely great projects. I have probably 2/3 of this wonderful fabric left. This is 32 count Mothwing by Forbidden Fiber Company, and it is some of my favorite fabric I have seen to date. So I'm really happy that I have like 2/3 of it left, and I'm looking at other projects to start on it right now. I haven't cut it or anything because I just want to see what those projects might be, because it might be handy to keep it intact, I guess, depending on how big those projects are. So I have the margins I want to have. So Spooky Frights Stitch Along by Luminous Fiber Arts, all done. So that is the first thing that I wanted to show you that I worked on this week and I finished. Very happy to have that finished. The second thing is my gridiron grind stitching that I am doing with Kim, the Spartan Stitcher. And we all kind of set our own rules for that. I am a Chiefs fan. I love watching the games, have to hide because my husband does not like watching the games, but I'm super happy that it's football again and I can watch those games. So we are just preseason. And as I told you last time, the second preseason game, the Chiefs did essentially nothing. So I had very little stitching to do. So I had 190 stitches to do, and I did get that done. So what I am stitching on is Santa at the North Pole. I believe it is called, artist is Scott Gustafson, and it's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is where I was the last time you saw it. And here it is with a hanging thread. My goodness. Here it is with a hanging thread. because I'm trying to put in absolutely just the number of stitches that are called for. So here it is with the hanging thread and the extra 190 stitches that were called for this week. The Chiefs did play on Friday of this week. I haven't even started that stitching yet. They did much more than they did last time. Mahomes connected to Kelsey twice. It wasn't for a score, but I decided that I would stitch 102 stitches just anytime they connected, not have that be a score requirement. The opposing team didn't have any turnovers. There were no rushing touchdowns by Mahomes. And there were no points in the fourth quarter. So I just had the 27 points, 270 points, 270 stitches for the 27 points. And then those two connections with Mahomes and Kelsey. So so I think that was 474 stitches altogether. I believe something like that I owe on this and that you should see next. I totally lost where I was going there for a second. Was that completely obvious? So you should see that on the next time we get this out, the next week. Well, yeah, you should see it next week. We have 2 weeks before there's a regular season game. So that gives me plenty of time to get those 474 stitches added to this project. The next stitch along I wanted to show you guys and update you on was the Abandoned SAL that Kenny Stitches is hosting for the month of August. I had selected the black work, the 2025 black work stitch along by the Steady Thread, which I had started not at the beginning of the year, maybe a couple, I want to say it was like 13 weeks in when it started. And I just never got very far on it. I just lost steam somewhere along the line, and I kept on intending to pick it up and didn't. So my goal with this stitch along in August was to pick that up and make some good progress on it. This is where it was last time you saw it. And I have really made some good upside down. I have really made some good progress on it here. It doesn't really go down much further. Maybe I should drop that. It doesn't go down much further than what you can see there. But as you can see, a lot of progress. I still owe it, I think, 2 strands of floss. My goal has been 1 strand of floss per day for the month of August, and I think I am down 2. So I owe it 2 strands of floss. But it has been phenomenal progress with just those strands of floss every day. Got the second corner finished, got a lot of those little magic circles filled in. And I have just been circling like crazy because I don't know what I'm doing with the motifs in the circle yet. And I'm very quickly getting to the point that I need to figure that out. I mean, yes, I could carry it down and do the bottom part of the border, but that makes me uncomfortable that I might be counting something incorrectly. So I think I need to get some of these circles filled in. Yeah, I need to get working on that. So this is on, it's right on here. So I'm just going to peek really quick. If I didn't, I took it off. Shoot. This is Fiber on a Whim. It is Ada, I think it's 14 count. It might be 16 count. I know I have said so in previous videos. I cannot pronounce the name of the colorway, so I'm not even going to try. If I remember, I will put it down like along the bottom here so you guys will know what it is. And I'm just stitching it at this point with Classic Colorworks Black Coffee. So yeah, I'm really happy with the progress that I've made on that. And we don't have a ton of August left. So I'm really interested to see where I will be at the end of August. It is not going away for good at the end of August. I have other plans for this that I will get to a little bit later. So that is that Abandoned SAL from Kenny Stitches, who I need a video from. Where is Kenny? I mean, I know he had a birthday and an anniversary and was traveling, but come on, Kenny, we need a video. Yeah, so the next thing I wanted to update you on is my round robin stitching. You haven't seen that in a couple weeks because I haven't really touched it in a couple weeks. So I am doing a Winter Stars by Modern Folk Embroidery, but I am definitely deviating from the color that the sample was done in. So I am doing, this is what it looked like last time you saw it. I am doing it on Fiber on a Whim cream and sugar 36 count. And the floss that I'm using, hanging thread, seems to be an issue today. The floss that I'm using is Country Cottage Garden Threads Mistletoe. So as you can see, it's a very aggressively variegated floss, and that is on purpose. And with this round robin, Adjacent X Stitches is hosting it. And he has split us into groups of 4 stitchers. And then we all kind of decide what we are doing. So this is what I picked. My other round robin stitchers have their own projects that they picked that I'm super excited to work on also. And each of us is doing a quarter of it. So this really is straight down here. This doesn't look like it, I promise you. I'm looking at that on the screen and thinking, oh my gosh, do I need to go check that? You know I'm going to go check that, but I really do believe it's correct. This strand, this running stitch down the end is just regular sewing machine thread, just so I know where to end. I didn't want to do the full corner. I wanted to do across the top because it's just maybe a little bit easier for my other stitchers to get started if I do that. So I wanted to make sure I was connecting in the correct place. And that is just because that better just be because it's folded there. So yeah, so I know I put 1, 2, 3, 4 lengths of floss in there, and you can see how far it got from last time. I originally had planned to do 3 lengths of floss per day, but it would be done in no time because 4 lengths takes it pretty far. So I'm going to finish this diagonal here and then start that last diagonal in the corner and then start working on the motifs. And of course, there's something in the center too. So our plan is to change around October, and I should definitely have it done by then. You should see more work on this soon because some of the other things are coming to an end, which is really nice. What I did not work on again was Extraordinary Birds by Lola Crow, the cross stitch. I think I am 4 releases behind now, maybe. The last one comes out this week. I have just been focusing on trying to get other things caught up. And like I said last time, I really have this itch to work on it because I really, really do love that stitch along. But I have just focused on other things. I wanted to get some other things done, other things off my plate so I could focus on that a little bit more. So I didn't get any stitching done on that, but I promise you will see something on that next week. And the last thing that I worked on was that new start that I promised I was going to do for Believe by Bent Creek. And I started it. It's kind of a sad little start, but I was trying to focus on other things. So I did get this started. This is 28 count linen by Fiber on a Whim. We're just all Fiber on a Whim today in the colorway Slate. And I am just using the called for Weeks Dye Works. I think there's Cottage Garden Samplings or something. I don't know. I will check that out. And a couple DMCs that are there. This tree is done in seaweed, and I have not used that color before. And oh my gosh, I am in love with that color. It just has beautiful variegation in it. So I might need to use that for something else here soon. So I just tried to get a little bit of a start there, get that tree in the middle, start the little path. After I have done that, I can stick a lot of trees in and then get the letters going underneath it. So this actually went really fast. I expect it will go very fast. This is going to go away just for a few weeks. I do have plans for it, so you will be seeing it again soon. But so Believe by Bent Creek. Yeah. As I started last time, I am working through my huge pile of charts that I don't even have kitted up or anything else done with. And I went through all of those tiny towns that I own last time. And so I just followed suit trying to get these big chunks out of the way. And so I grabbed my chunk of the Fabulous Houses charts. So there are 13 of these all together. These are by Cottage Garden Samplings, I think. Yep, no glasses on my face, so I can't really see. And the reason I started buying these is because of this first one, this Santa house. I just fell in love with from the get-go. And I think Andrew, the runner stitcher, just finished this. Stewart's and Stitches is working on it. He might be done. If he's not done, he's very, very close to done. And I've seen several other people working on it. It just blew me away when I saw it. So I got it. And then, of course, because I'm a collector, I needed to get the rest of them. Andrew was doing them all on one big piece. And these are not small. So that has got to be a ginormous piece of fabric. I'm kind of tempted to do that, though. I'm going to have to think about it because I do, if you can't tell, I do kind of like doing several things on one big piece. I'm so expensive to frame. I don't know why I do that. But so there is Santa's house for these. If you haven't, most people have seen these, so I'm not going to put pictures of those up there. Castle, I really like the castle also. Greenhouse, which is not my favorite. The cottage, it's okay. Not my favorite, but it's okay. The Hobbit house, how could you not like that? So I have the Hobbit house. The tree house, which I think is interesting and I think will be fun to stitch. The house barn, not my favorite, but I don't hate any of these, I guess. The lighthouse, I'm sorry for the glare. The floating house, which I think will be really fun to stitch. Just this whole water down here in the bottom. It's fun. The fairy house, little mushroom fairy house. How can you not like that? The haunted house, which I love. I think that's so much fun. I'm so Halloween-y right now, at least, very much so. So into Halloween. And then the log cabin, which kind of is in theme with something else I'm stitching. And then they did release a 13th extra one, which was the Tudor style house, which I absolutely love also. So I'm considering switching in the Tudor style house and out maybe that greenhouse. That is the one that I probably like least out of all of these if I do it all in one big piece. But yeah, I'm a collector, like I said before. So I ended up with all of these, haven't started a single one. I was thinking about it today, actually, before I got to videoing, and I was just like, I need to see how big of a piece I would need to put these all on one and maybe do some planning there because, you know, who doesn't need another huge project that is going to take years and years and years to complete? Because like I said, these are not small. There's a fair amount of stitching in each of them. So that is what we are looking at for Pattern Stash this week. I say haul with a question mark because I am really not sure if this counts or not. I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I bought it. But I have to tell you that I am always looking for different gadgets or different things like that with my stitching. I'm older. I need to wear magnification when I'm stitching now where I didn't need to when I was in my 20s and my teens. And also my house was built in 58. It does not have great lighting anywhere, really. If I'm sitting by a window, maybe, and I have lots of windows, but for the most part, there's not very good lighting. So I have a number of lamps that I bring around with me, and I try to focus them in on my stitching while I'm doing it. But that doesn't always work very well, and it's kind of clumsy. And I also always have magnification, and I have a ton of reader glasses, tons of magnification glasses, and I have tons of prescription glasses because I just love glasses. But I do find that they kind of start hurting my nose after a while. So between fighting with the light and fighting with the magnification, it's always a little bit of a loss. And I've tried lots of different things. I've tried neck lights, and nothing just works the way I want it to. So I kept on seeing these ads for these goggles that had magnification and lights on them. And I thought, well, hey, that's probably worth a try. I can give that a try. So these came in the mail yesterday. And let me tell you, not only are these tragically unattractive, not that I care, but they are completely useless, like 100% useless. They have 4 different lenses that go from 1.5 up to 5 times magnification. These are the 5-time magnification lenses that are on there. And I like a lot of magnification, old eyes, when I'm working on my cross stitch. So I popped in the 5s first and held up my hands, and I could not see anything, like completely blurry, until my hands were almost touching my face. And I remember thinking, well, that can't be right. That's not useful at all. So I went and I put the 1.5s in, and I could see at a reasonable distance with the 1.5s, but the magnification wasn't sufficient. So I put in, I think it was the 3.5s. I forget what the next one was. And still, I needed to be shockingly close to my face before I could see anything. So I did probably what I should have done before I ordered them, and went and read a little bit about it. And it turns out the focal length at the 5 times magnifications is 3.45 inches. Let me say that again. 3.45 inches, not even 3.5 inches away from your face. I don't know anyone who works that close to their face. I don't care whether you're painting miniatures. I don't care what you're doing. Nobody works that close to their face. I certainly don't stitch that close to my face. And so I thought, this cannot be right. I looked at the 3.5s, and it is under 6 inches away from your face, which is still shockingly close to your face to me. So I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I probably should just send them back. Woefully disappointed. I'm not sure it's even worth the shipping to send them back. But yeah, if you guys have something that is like this, that actually works, that lets you, that the magnification is a decent distance from your face, please let me know. Other than that, I don't know. I haven't figured out what I'm doing with them yet. The other thing is, it comes with this little rubber thing that I think you stick on the back. And I think it's supposed to make it so you can hang them around your neck. Well, you're not going to hang them very far around your neck, because this thing is like shockingly short also. But even if you have it on there and you put it on your head, I don't know, maybe I just have a big head. Maybe it's like my big wealth of like fuzzy hair. I don't know. But yeah, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So I don't know. I don't know if I can count this as haul. It is definitely a failed experiment. So if you guys have any ideas, please let me know. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is a start along we have going on. Erin, my Night Owl Round Robin teammate, is starting this up. She had absolute best of intentions of having her first YouTube video up this past week, but life just got in the way. She has small kids and just a lot. She just has a lot going on right now. So she was not able to get it done. She did post hers up on Instagram, though, did a nice graphic for it. And I did a little short sort of teasing it when my silk came in. But yeah, so we are doing a start along with Long Dog's Latitude, their most recent release. And we're calling it a Hootenanny since we're night owls. So it's funny because she decided she wanted to do it. She hadn't done a Long Dog sampler before. I hadn't either. I have several patterns. I just hadn't started one. And I loved Latitude when I saw it. And I was just, of course, yeah, I'll do that with you. And my other two, Erica and Amy, jumped on right away. And yeah, so it's kind of building momentum. We plan a September 1st start for this start along. Since it's such a huge project, as all long dogs are pretty much, it's not a stitch along, it's a start along, but all kind of trying to start it around the same time and then just kind of share our updates with it. So part of the reason I jumped on it right away was because I have this fabric that I bought quite a while ago that I absolutely fell in love with, and I had no idea what I was going to do on it. And that is Fox and Rabbit's Tornado. It's a huge piece, an absolutely huge piece of fabric. I just loved it. And I could not figure out what I wanted to do on it. And because the piece is so big, I wanted it to be something substantial. And also there are parts of it, I mean, there are parts of it that are a lot darker than others. Which way do I need to go so you can see that? And so I don't know, I was struggling a little bit. It didn't really speak classic sampler or historic sampler to me too much. So I don't know. I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to put on it. And the moment I looked at Latitude, I thought, hey, with the right color floss, I could 100% do that on Tornado by Fox and Rabbit. So this is 32 count linen, I believe. So I went and looked at different floss colors, decided I really wanted to do it in silk because it is a long dog and it will 100% be heirloom, I know, when it is finished. So I looked at colors I wanted, then I looked at kind of corresponding silk colors, and I ended up with PR010 from Silks for You in this kind of dark green, this kind of dark foresty. It's kind of a yellow green, kind of a gray green. It's sort of hard to explain. But I just thought that would look so good on there. And I'm so excited to get started. So I won't have started this by the time I record next time because we're not starting until September 1st. And I think I still have a little time. But I don't know. I might just have to wait and not record until I start it. I don't know. But it is a September 1st start. So eventually I will have some good progress on that, or at least a good start to show you. And if you guys haven't seen Long Dog's latest release, Latitude, please, I'll put it up here. Here it is. Please go check it out. It is just beautiful. And I cannot wait to get stitching on it. Another thing I have coming up that I've been alluding to a little bit throughout this video is a new Stitchy game that I think I talked about last time, that I know I am going to jump right in to as soon as it starts. And that is the Great British Baking Show Stitchy game that Jessie Marie Does Stuff is hosting. And I will link her video down below when she describes it and what it is. And I don't know whether any of you guys watch the Great British Baking Show, but it is just lovely. I don't know what else to say. It just warms my heart every time I watch it. I could just binge watch them. And I do rewatch them, even though I know exactly what's going to happen, because I just enjoy it so much. I do love to bake. I don't get to do it too much. I do bake bread. I love making bread. It's been a minute though. But you know, we do have this this momentary reprieve in Kansas from the walking on the sun hot weather in August. And it is in the 70s and it's been kind of overcast and rainy. And I just love that. I love that. It makes me want to make soup and make bread and just get all homey. But yeah, so the show, I think it airs on the 2nd on the BBC network. And in the US, I think we get it on Netflix on the 5th, which is not next Friday, but the week after that. So I've got a couple weeks to kind of get ready to go for that. So with that, like I said, I'll link it below, but there are 12 contestants and I'm going to assign a project to each contestant. I'm not sure I have enough projects to assign to 12 contestants because I really don't want to double dip. I really don't want to have something be temperature stitching and be Great British Baking Show. And I don't want it. Yeah, I just don't. I don't think I want to do that. So I think I'm going to have a couple categories. also, like one be a new start. So when I need to stitch on that, I will like have a new start. I did decide that I am putting Witch's Hollow in, even though I haven't started it, as one of the projects, because I am, as everybody knows, super eager to start that. I did decide to make ornaments be one of the categories because I have so many ornaments and so many little smalls. So I am going to use one of those. And if one of them gets finished, I will just start the other one, start another one. And I have some other plans. I think one of them that I wrote down was just like my choice, whatever I want to stitch on. So with Great British Baking Show, there is a star baker every week. There is someone who gets eliminated every week. The second challenge, which is the technical challenge, has a winner, just like distinct winner that they announce, and somebody who is on the bottom. And then people also get handshakes from Paul Hollywood, one of the hosts, if he really thinks they have done a great job. And those are pretty rare. So the whole idea is you assign a certain number of stitches to each of those events. And let's say, they released all the contestants and I can't remember their names at all right now, but let's say contestant number 3 or whatever wins Star Baker, then you would stitch those many stitches on that project. And just a way to kind of have fun and keep things moving forward. I know that I am very, very goal driven. If I do not have goals and things like that set out, it is really hard for me to keep moving and keep things going. So I'm really good at alongs because those have distinct goals. And so things like these Stitchy games, I am just all about. So I'm super, super excited for that to get started. I am moving Quilted Witch into one of those projects. I'm moving the Princess and Pea into one of those projects. I am moving the Black Work sampler by the Steady Thread into one of those projects. GHI, the H chart, is very close to the end of its rotation for temperature stitching. And so if that ends up getting to 10, I will switch that into one of those projects. Also, I'm looking for projects that I have a fair number of stitches left to do on, because the show runs for a while. And if you finish a project, I guess you could always assign another one, but it would be really nice to see some good progress on those, and fun way to keep going. So that is coming up, and I'm excited to do that. And you will see a lot of these projects again there. So the last thing we really have to talk about is plans. So I plan to finish up my abandoned SAL with that black work and get as far as I can by the end of the month with that. The Autumn Nights Stitch Along with Fat Quarter Chop is starting beginning of next week. That runs 4, maybe 5 weeks. Usually it is not a huge amount of stitching every week, and I have all the stuff and had kind of committed to that. So I know I'll be starting that this coming week. So there will be a new start this coming week. I want to continue putting some stitches in on my round robin piece. That's, I need to keep that moving. Apparently I need to go count at the bottom there or see if it was just because it was folded. It was clearly just because it was folded, right? I hope so. Then there are some August goals that I haven't even started yet. And that is those WIPGO goals for the full coverage. So the August WIPGO numbers, I think they were 12 and 15. I was going to do 1,200 in that Poppies full coverage piece and 1,500 in the Amy Stewart bookshelf that I'm not remembering the name of right now. Do 1,500 stitches in there. And so I haven't even started on those. So I absolutely need to get going on those. I do have some stitches to put into the gridiron grind. So I need to get that going. I haven't touched my fancy lady in way too long. I did put her in as one of the contestants on the Great British Baking Show also. So hopefully she'll see some love there. And I have a fully finished object, of course, that I want to up on the rooftop one I finished last week. My goal is to get that fully finished by the end of August. So with any luck, I will make some good progress on those things this coming week and be able to share those with you next week. Other than that, looking forward to the Long Dog Hootenanny. If you would like to start, please join us. Please start it with us. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. Looking forward to starting that. And of course, looking forward to the Great British Baking Show Stitching Game starting probably the same week that the Hootenanny is starting. So hopefully I know I'll have the Abandoned SAL done by then. I'll hopefully have some other things kind of, checked off so I can get going on that. So with that, I am sure, even without looking at the time, I have taken up plenty of your time today. As always, thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing some of your stitchy time with me. I enjoy, I did not think I would enjoy doing these videos, but I have found that I really kind of do. Getting better at the editing a little bit, even though there were some hiccups last time. So the whole process is going a little bit more quickly, and it really is helping keep me on track, which was one of the big goals for me for doing FlossTube was, kind of telling you guys what I was going to work on, and then kind of having that accountability to report back on what I have been working on. So have a great week. Keep your heads up, keep stitching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.